Christmas is over, so it's practically 2025. Today we're doing an early review of the 2025 New Year's banner in Fire Emblem Heroes. The devs like to take New Year's off, so we usually get the data mine and trailer early, but I don't remember it ever being literally the day after Christmas kinda early. Now we still got 4 to 5 days to the Year of the Snake and this banner releases. Nothing wrong with a little head start. For this banner, you can get festive alts for the book A Beast. Nidhoggr's our coincidental snake representative, and Hraesvelgr is back as well. For the duo unit, the devs did Ratatoskr dirty. Despite being the oldest release, the duo is going to be led by Heiðrún. I know it's not the year of the rat, but dang, that is kinda cold. For our last unit, we got Tana. We'll be going over everyone's stats and skills, plus discuss general playstyle and build ideas. The 4-star focus unit for the banner will be Tana. You can get her at 4 and 5-star rarity. Now, I like Sacred Stones, but clearly not as much as one of the devs because, Jesus man. The seemingly only reason Tana is here is because one of the Freilia's sacred twin weapons is the bow Nidhoggr. Well, that's wielded by Innis typically, but he's been relegated to the Tempest reward again. Rearmed Tana did get her own serpent/dragon themed arcane bow, so that seems to be carrying over to the Year of the Snake alt. As a unit, this Tana is a 4-star focus unit, which needs to be pointed out because her kit does not really feel like a typical 4-star focus. Years Tana is a sword flyer with 40 HP, 45 attack, 47 speed, 37 defense, and 25 res. She has speed and res super boons, plus a higher defense focus compared to the usual Pegasus Knights. To be fair, seems like this Tana is promoted to Wyvern Knight though, because she's brought back the Wyvern from her rearmed ult. For ult skills, Tana has Draconic Aura and speed and defense Rain Snap, only one main fodder skill, but that's a tier 4 skill. I don't remember if we've ever had a tier 4 skill for a 4-star focus before. Rain Snap has its 2-space debuffing range, plus can give +1 movement to the user if they are near an armored or melee infantry allies. You also give +1 movement to those allies. Funny enough, Tana's team may not even need that extra movement. For a unique weapon, Tana has the Snaking Sword. 16 might, allies within 2 spaces can move to any space within 2 spaces of Tana. If Tana has fought or used an assist skill in the current turn, then allies can move to any space within 2 spaces of her from anywhere on the map. For combat, this is a slaying weapon. If Tana initiates or is near an ally, she gets +5 to all stats with an extra +3 for every ally within 3 rows or 3 columns. Get 3 allies in range for the max +14. In addition, Tana gets 20% speed as true damage per hit and 20% speed as flat damage reduction for first attacks with an S. Now, Snaking Sword is a little light on the combat perks, but true damage and flat damage based on speed's not bad. Tana is the OG Guidance Queen, so naturally the tier 4 2-space warping version is built into her weapon. This applies to all unit types. In addition, Tana grants global warping if she fights or uses an assist skill. This is similar to Young Amarin. Tana can call in the entire team if she survives or gets close after an assist. Probably why there is another new warp bubble skill on this banner. Now, it's not uncommon for 4-star focus units to get unique weapons, but it is rare they get a unique weapon and unique passive. Spring Mirabilis and Kadan Violet come to mind. Tana, though, has a unique weapon, a unique passive, and a tier 4 skill. That is kind of unheard of. Heavenly Wings is a brand new upgrade from the rearmed alt's Soaring Wings. This beast skill enables contour distance +1 with a max of 4. If above 25% HP, Tana inflicts attack, speed, defense debuffs equal to 5, plus the number of spaces moved by the initiator, times 3. If Tana or the foe were to move 3 spaces, you can inflict -14 debuffs. For other effects, Tana gets full no follow-up, she has breath type cooldown, so +1 charge on all actions, and then Tana gets -1 instant cooldown before her first attack. Heavenly Wings is pretty stacked. Again, this is not a 5-star only unit. With massive contour range, Tana can get into position to set up her global warping. She has a clash condition for debuffs, which can be fully gotten thanks to the Rain Snap's extra movement. +14 debuffs with +14 buffs from her weapon is kinda nuts. You then have the always solid no follow-up on a speedy unit, along with cooldown perks, which still aren't the easiest to get for a flyer. Tana can get an instant 2 cooldown special ready for hit 1, but for 3 cooldown Draconic Aura or no quarter, you're still gonna need to double. She can retaliate with 3 cooldown specials though if guard isn't present. Now, nothing super complex here, but just a very solid unique skill for a 4-star focus unit. We don't have too many sword flyers who have high speed with a defense over res focus, so Tana doesn't have that much competition. Her being a 4-star focus with 2 unique skills and a tier 4 passive is pretty insane. In terms of playstyle, Tana's the typical speedy offensive flyer. She can get in with Rain Snap, she has no follow-up to double, and has multiple cooldown perks to get a special off. After combat is where things get kinda crazy. Tana calls in the cavalry with global 2-space warping. This comes with a potential contour 4 to reposition for that as well. Basically, Years Tana may want to grab some survivability skills. She has flat DR based on speed, so attack and speed excel is a natural fit. Remember, if she moves 3 spaces and has 3 allies in her crux/ploy range, then Tana gets a 28-point stat advantage. That is impressive. While Rain Snap is fine, since Tana has the global warp, you could just use Endless Tempest. Selfish +1 movement, but Tana gets +3 stats and full low buff neutralization. After she fights, the team just warps in regardless. Now when it comes to specials, I would probably swap to Luna, but obviously no quarter is needed for DR piercing. If you want to add some % DR, Tana can run a defensive special. She would get Escutcheon ready, and if the foe doesn't have defensive tempo plus guard, then you can also charge Pay This. There is even potential for Miracle. In fact, you don't even need to fight for the warping, just use a rally assist or pivot, then Tana contos closer to the enemy. As for other combative skills, Tana can run Flared Spur or Daily Miasma if you want Divine Veins. For example, she could run something like Endless Celica, Warp In, set up the Divine Vein, then call in your team. Same goes for Smoke type debuffs. If you want an extra action for Tana herself, she could run Gale Force. She could get us a 3 cooldown before attacking, then 1 cooldown with her Breath type cooldown first hit. For other skills, Guard and Scowl support would be nice to help survive. Otherwise, Tana can just go with Attack and Speed Clash or Catch. Maybe you want a Speed and Defense variant instead. All in all, just a fairly solid 4-star focus. This Tana is treated better than some limited seasonal 5-star only units, I feel, just minus the multiple fodder skills. Even then, she has a tier 4 one of her own, and a decent one at that. I am certainly biased when it comes to Sacred Stones characters, but how we ended up with 6 Tanas while I can't even get one 5-star set alt is beyond me. If we're adding the Freilians due to their Nidhoggr Sacred Twin Bow, I'm incredibly surprised the devs didn't bring in Edelgard because Hraesvelgr is back with her mythic stint. The Book 8 beasts bring over a lot of their original traits since their releases weren't that long ago. This Hraesvelgr is taking up the green beast flying slot this time. She has 41 HP, 46 attack, 48 speed, 36 defense, and 23 res. Speed super boom, and like Tana, just a solid offensive spread with a defense over res focus. For old skills, Hraesvelgr brings 2 inheritables only found on her mythic ult. Nimble Beast is basically Gust for beast units, 3 cooldown speed based damage with 40% damage reduction. As for attack and speed fortune, it's the new beast line that adds 2 conditions to transform. Basically, it lets you stay near human allies easier. In addition, it gives turn 1 Aether Raid's defense transformations, a lull to complement its stat variant, and then 7 HP sustained healing. Last skill Hraesvelgr brings over is her mythic unique C skill, Divine Talon. If you want a full breakdown, I'll link my banner review of mythic Hraesvelgr. TLDR, at start of turn, penalty cleanse for the team, +1 movement for dragons, beast, infantry, and armors. Hraesvelgr then gives no follow-up, no guard, and excel flat damage reduction. For her New Year Talon weapon, at start of either phase, inflict -7 speed and defense, exposure, and sabotage on foes within 2 spaces of another. Hraesvelgr has Slaying, and if transformed or the foe is healthy, she gets bonus stats equal to 5 plus 15% of her flat speed. She has true damage based on the number of positive or negative status effects active on the foe, plus foes within 2 spaces times 3. This is uncapped. In addition, she has 7 flat damage reduction for first attacks with an S, and -1 instant cooldown before her first attack. Fairly big changes. Instead of only on her turn, Hraesvelgr now debuffs on either phase, and it hits grouped up foes instead of the closest one. She replaces her anti-miracle status with Sabotage. She went from 40% DR to 7 flat DR, and the DR piercing has been replaced with the instant cooldown. Still the same is Hraesvelgr's true damage based on statuses. This is extremely strong because it includes all statuses on nearby foes. Exposure and Sabotage is 6 true damage. But if that's on 3 surrounding enemies, then that's 24 true damage total. Since this also includes the enemy's own positive statuses, you can see how this can snowball heavily. Being grouped up can be very bad against this unit. For her new inheritable beast skill, Hraesvelgr brings Bestial Assault. This is usable by all beast. It enables Conto remaining +1 with a minimum of Conto 2, but only if transformed. If user is transformed or has more than 25% HP, you inflict -4 speed and defense on the foe. You get true damage equal to 20% of the greater of your speed or defense stats. Last, you get 50% DR piercing. Bestial Assault, despite the name, does not build out of Beast Assault. Even though Beast Assault has the DR piercing effect, this seems to build out of a Beast Agility 3 or Beast Follow-up 3. This skill does not guarantee transformations like the typical Beast to Beast skill, so what's up with the weird inheritance prereqs? Assuming it's because Beast Assault's not usable by Armored Beast, but those 2 skills are. If you want near trace Conto 4 on your Beast armors, I mean, you can now get it. The true damage scales off speed or defense, and the 50% DR piercing is good. Bit of an oddball skill, but if you can transform, it may open up some options like, say, with Arcane Nihility. In terms of playstyle, Hraesvelgr still retains her movement buffs and penalty cleansing. She has her speed, defense, exposure debuffs, now with sabotage as well. Keep in mind, the debuffs only target grouped up foes. When it comes to combat, Hraesvelgr's slaying, no guard, and instant cooldown means she can charge Nimble Beast in times for a counterattack. That's 40% damage reduction, and with 3 spaces moved and her weapon, she can get 19 flat damage reduction. You could add to this with Excel, but Fortune just makes it easier to transform, and it grants low speed and defense with +8 attack and speed. You even get healing. The transformation gets Bestial Assaults near Trace Count of 4, plus this also guarantees Nimble Beast gets its 40% damage reduction. You don't even have to do a speed check. In terms of damage, Hraesvelgr has 50% DR piercing, she can proc Nimble Beast on a double thanks to no follow-up, and you got a lot of true damage if the foe stacks statuses and can't cleanse the ones you inflict. This all stacks with Bestial Assaults and Exposure's true damage as well. For other skills, Hraesvelgr could opt for Fierce Beast, which she can proc instantly, plus she can proc it again on a follow-up. 100% DR piercing, but Nimble Beast is her source of % damage reduction. She could run momentum for AoE specials, but do note her status scaling true damage does not apply to AoEs. Stuff like potent or air maneuvers is fun, but same for mastery or flared sparrow. However, I think Hraesvelgr's base kit's good enough. Fortune's just easier transformations are nice to use, plus it's a solid skill of its own. You could run like attack and speed wild, but she doesn't really need the cooldown unless you want to run Gale Force. If you did want to replace Fortune, there's always the Beast Sacred Seal though. Overall, Years Hræsvelgr brings over her Mythic C skill for any season and retains most of her weapons effects. The loss of the anti-miracle effect may be a bit important though if you plan to use this Red Eagle on a defense team. Emblem Lyn can really abuse some of the miracle abilities certain units have. Our third banner unit is going to be Years Níðhöggr. Sorry Goveg, but we've got a shiny new Snake Lady to ring in 2025. Nidhoggr is about 1 month old, so yeah, if you know about her, mostly the same deal here. This time Nidhoggr is a blue armored beast, first one actually. For stats, she has 50 HP, 48 attack, 16 speed, 49 defense, and 44 resistance, defense super boon, and basically the same stats as her mythic self. For old skills, Nidhoggr is just like her sister. She once again brings Sturdy Beast for bonfire damage with 40% DR, and is the first and second unit with Slick Fighter 4. Solid armor skill for follow-up attacks, debuff neutralization, and flat damage reduction. Last, Nidhoggr has Divine Toxin, which includes her unique dosage status. This protects your other statuses from being stolen and removed, but it does not stop effects that only remove statuses. I wasn't sure then, but it's been confirmed that Mythic Loki or Dual Thor status removing effects will work on dosage. Now, besides the status protecting part, this is a +5 stat with 10 HP after combat healing status, nothing wrong with that. For other effects, Divine Toxin is a Fortune A skill for attack and defense, plus it has breath type cooldown with no guard. For Nidhoggr's near Fang, at start of either phase, if near an ally, she gives +6 defense and res, Hexblade, and a 50% DR piercing status. This is a slang weapon, and if transformed or healthy, Nidhoggr inflicts instant damage equal to 25% of the foe's max HP. She inflicts attack and defense debuffs equal to 6 plus 20% of her flat defense. For any % DR effects triggered once from specials, Nidhoggr can activate them twice per combat. She then deals true damage equal to 30% of the foe's max HP, and gets flat DR equal to the total amount of HP lost by the foe. This has a minimum of 10 up to a max of 20 flat DR. Now, if the foe activates specials, you also double the amount of flat damage reduction. Combat-wise, similar to her Mythic ult, but Nidhoggr now has the Twin Save effect. She can proc Sturdy Beasts 40% DR twice in battle. She still has her instant damage that then amplifies her flat DR. The main difference is that Nidhoggr now buffs instead of debuffs. Defensive stats with offensive abilities, all fun stuff. You can stack the 50% DR piercing status with the new Bestial Assault for 75% DR piercing hits. For a new inheritable C skill, Nidhoggr's got the higher ground. This is a beast and dragon armor only skill, nothing really new here though. You have the warp bubble effects of Barricade being a 3-space no warp zone for melee and 4-space for range. You then combine that with defense and res far save. That's pretty much it. In a few short months we now have 3 tier 4 saviors, Twin, Briar, and now higher ground. This one does not boost combat abilities like the other two, but you could argue not getting warped on like from Tana is more valuable in itself. Now, assuming the data mine is correct, this skill builds out of Close Guard 3 or Distant Guard 3. That makes it hilariously cheap to inherit, just like Barricade. You can get higher ground with Slick Fighter 4 all at once for an armor. In terms of playstyle, Nidhoggr is mostly doing the same as before, very bulky far savior who still has the twin save effect for sturdy beast and now gets warp bubble capabilities. She has high damage potential with Hexblade, 50% Dare Pierce, and quick charging specials. You got instant damage, true damage, and a follow-up. Dosage can heal plus protect your statuses from being stolen. To get access to distant counter, Divine Toxin makes it easier to transform, not to mention it fulfills the condition for sturdy beasts' 40% damage reduction. Just a very solid kit. I'm sure anyone here for the past month really needs no reminding how good Nidhoggr is. For other skills, if you want to have fun, you could run Briarfar save. Maybe you got Warp Bubble covered. This Nidhoggr can get Twin and Briarfar saves effects at the same time, which is pretty funny. You could also go for the other fighter B skills. Wily is fine, just depends on if you want to buff or debuff neutralization. As for shield fighter, Nidhoggr has her instant damage to deal damage, and then you can just go pure tank with her incredible amounts of flat damage reduction. While it is pierceable, deflect seals can also be a pain for units without full DR piercing. For example, half of 80% DR is very respectable 40% damage reduced. When it comes to Sacred Seals, Hardy Bearing lets Nidhoggr counter before Desperation kicks in. Our newest emblem hands out Desperation support. She could also run Mystic Boost for extra healing and neutralizing adaptive damage. As a fun option, we are getting an Assault Troop Sacred Seal, allegedly from the Tempest Trials. Slick and Wily Fighter can give follow-ups on the player phase, so if you don't respect them, any armor can be able to double tap from 3 spaces out. Additionally, it is just going to help Nidhoggr keep up with her team if you're going to go in a straight line. As our newest Mythic Edition, Years Níðhöggr is back to run in any season you want. She's an incredible solid savior, though higher ground ain't going to help much when Emblem Lynn's sniping your team without needing to warp at all. And last unit for the banner is Duo Heidrun and Ratatoskr. Like Duo Asker, Heiðrún's going to be a colorless infantry mage this time, not a beast unit. For stats, Heiðrún has 39 HP, 47 attack, 16 speed, 38 defense, and 48 resistance. She has a res super boon and is still plenty tanky for a mage. Heiðrún is going to be sacrificing some physical bulk though. For old skills, she has Crystalline Water for flat attack and res at the cost of defense. This is mainly because Heiðrún can run AoE specials like Blazing Wind. To charge up her AoE, Heiðrún's New Year Treats is a 14 Might Tome. If a rally or movement assist is used by an ally with Divine Nectar, excluding Heiðrún, then grant plus 6 attack and res, the charge status, and -1 cooldown to Heiðrún and that ally. The cooldown part is once per turn. This is a slaying tome, and if above 25% HP, Heiðrún gets attack, defense, and res equal to 5 plus 20% for res at start of combat. She has true damage equal to 20% res that will work on AoE specials. She has no guard, and then 50% DR piercing during combat. Heiðrún no longer has her ploy debuffs, instead the only way to get these new buffs is by having a Divine Nectar ally rally or movement assist someone. Heiðrún most likely isn't buffing her whole team. Now, free cooldown without fighting is always strong though, and charge gives Heiðrún extra attack range. For combat, she has sling and no guard, true damage and DR piercing, fairly good stuff, but you'll notice she doesn't really get a lot of defensive perks this time. To get the full picture of her kit, Heiðrún has a new C skill. It's an updated Divine Nectar called Nectar's Magic. It still has the same effects of the old Divine Nectar, giving allies the status within 2 spaces at the start of either phase. If a rally or movement assist is used by those allies, then on top of her weapon buffs, the ally will get an extra action. For Heiðrún herself, she can get -1 instant cooldown that works on AoE specials. If she has a regular offensive special, she still gets -1 cooldown, and then the +5 to everything but speed. When it comes to AoE special spamming, Heiðrún can get -2 cooldown for 2 turns without fighting, and then you get the -1 instant cooldown to proc it on turn 2 itself. With no guard, she can get 1 cooldown back on her basic attack. You then repeat the cooldown cycle on the next player phase. When it comes to Divine Nectar, it's still the same powerful 20 instant healing with full deep wounds countering. Fatal Smoke can cut down on Breath of Life Force healing, but that's not going to work against Heiðrún, which is part of why she's incredibly good. If you wanted to use Heiðrún's AoE special on turn 1, that's what the dual skill is for. Heiðrún and Ratatoskr grant -1 cooldown to allies within 3 rows or 3 columns. In addition, you apply Divine Vein green tiles to those same spaces for 2 turns. More free cooldown assuming you can use the dual skill, and then a super large Divine Vein deployment. Ratatoskr's green terrain denies warping and inflicts guard on the foe. For obvious reasons, if the foe has warp abilities, you can shut down a large area for 2 turns. Since it extends across the map, you can also use this to get rid of other Divine Veins such as ice terrain. Heiðrún can then charge in with her extended attack range. For her new inheritable beast skill, Heiðrún will bring attack and res discord. At the start of either phase, inflict -6 attack and res and discord on foes with less resistance than the user, and that are within 2 spaces of another enemy. In combat, you inflict attack and res debuffs equal to 4 plus the number of foes inflicted with Discord within 2 spaces of the target times 2. This includes the target for calculations, and you needed 3 discorded foes to get the max minus 10 attack and res. In addition, this skill grants true damage equal to 15% of the user's res. Do note that will not work on AoEs. This is the second Discord beat skill, and it builds out of Sabotage Attack or Res 3. Basically, if you have higher resistance, you can debuff grouped up enemies, and when fighting multiple discorded foes, you get even more debuffs. Since Discord itself is stronger the more allies are nearby, you stack a lot of debuffs very quickly. If there are 3 foes around the target, and at least 2 of them, including the target, have Discord active, then altogether, this skill can give minus 21 attack and res. Certainly not an insignificant amount. For extra pain, you even get more true damage. For Duo Heidrun, she is much more offensive than her beast form. Basically, like her mythic C skills Divine Nectar, you can have an ally rally or movement assist, then they get an extra action. New Year treats then buffs that ally with charge and minus 1 cooldown. They can then charge into attack, and the same goes for Heiðrún. If you can, to use the dual skill, you need to wait till turn 2 to have enough cooldown to proc Blazing Wind. To finish the job, Heiðrún has 50% DR piercing on her basic attack, and you can get enough cooldown to recharge on the next player phase. To boost the AoE damage, Crystalline Water grants flat attack, and Heiðrún gives attack field buffs. Attack and res Discord inflicts minus 6 res. New Year's treat then adds 20% res true damage as well. For the most part, Duo Heidrun can facilitate some cooldown support without fighting, then she and an ally can charge into attack. Heiðrun is naturally bulky and can get some nice attack debuffs via attack and res Discord, but she doesn't have % DR or flat DR, and Crystalline Water does lower defense. This is further reduced if you want to run Still Water 3 as a Sacred Seal. For AoE damage, this can be worth the trade-off though, since Crystalline Water also negates panic and attack and res debuffs. If you want, Heiðrun could run a bunch of the more defensive skills such as Close Bonus Doubler or Legu's Friend. However, these aren't really made for AoE specials. You can't even use Flare with Legu's Friend due to slang. Defensive skills can work, but that's not really what this ult is trying to do. If you wanted a follow-up, you could get some AoE damage with Slime Mirror. Brush Assault 4 also works, plus has some % DR. There's the Remote or Impact A skills, but Crystalline Water will boost Blazing Wind damage and help win the res check for Discord. If you wanted to try and keep some physical bulk, you could run Squad Ace BU for plus 5 HP and not lose minus 5 defense. Kinda up to you, since ideally Heiðrun just wants to use her basic to one-tap the weakened foe. If you don't want any vantage cheesing, you can also run Hardy Bearing here. Overall, Duo Heidrun is the most different from her mythic ult, but she still provides the same powerful Divine Nectar status. As per usual, the extra action for an ally can be tricky to deal with. You then got the cooldown and charge support, plus Heiðrun being an AoE mage herself means she can provide long-range firepower now. You then have the dual skill for Mass Divine Vein Green Tiles, plus even more free cooldown. Reminder, this banner drops on New Year's Day basically, so we've got some time to wait. Time to decide if you want to pull more on Winter or Emblem Lynn's cracked monthly banner. Next up, I'll be doing an early review of the Tempest Trials rewards, which should launch on New Year's Day as well. The reward unit is Years Níðhöggr. His last ult was his young Heroic Grow ult. I think it's incredibly lame to repeat characters for Heroic Grow options, but clearly that's not stopping for 2025. I think it's even lamer that the new Innis is the exact same class type as young Innis as well. Whoever is making these decisions, my New Year's resolution is that I hope you stop doing that. Thanks. Anyway, we'll talk about New Year's Innis more in the next video. We do have some nice Sacred Seals coming as well. Thank you for watching, happy early New Year's, and I will see you in the next video.